Alright guys, TJHaLy here again today, a different type of video. I'm down here in the bottom left. We're going to be doing a CoD Champs, pre-CoD Champs, Draftbuff Fantasy League game. So if you guys want to join in on this, these fine gentlemen have already done so. There's about 133 of them so far in my little prediction challenge here, which Ray at Draftbuff has set up. If you want to join the main one, which you can find on the main website page, where you can win like an attach scuff, like a scuff vantage or whatever, that's signed by attach or whatever the case may be. If you want to win that, you can enter that as well. You can enter as many as you like with different teams, but I'd recommend joining this one. It's going to be a bit of fun. 130 people. I'll be entering it just now in the next, over the course of the next few minutes. Going to talk through my decisions, how I make the team, and yeah, if you guys want to join in and play along, the link will be down in the description box below and also in the pinned comment of this video. So feel free to try and beat myself and all the rest of these fine ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, let's hop into it here. This is what it looks like. So yeah, hopefully you should be able to see this on the majority of the screen. The deadline I think is going to be tomorrow or whenever it is. I think yeah, the deadline should be before the event starts. So August the 14th, of course, it's going to start on Wednesday evening, so make sure you get your team in before then. It should give you plenty of time for when you guys are watching this video. If you're watching it too late, unlucky. So yeah, like if you enjoy, subscribe if you are new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. This is how it works. We have $30 to choose 5 players for our squad. 1 assault rifle, 2 flex players, 2 subs, and average price being, you know, $6 remaining. So this will change depending on how, you know, how big a player I choose in terms of their cost over here. This is their projected value based on how they've done at previous events. And if you click on the individual players, it will show you how they performed at previous events and what performance they are expected to have here. But of course, this maybe isn't the best indicator. We need to, if we want to do a really good job, we will probably want to look into, you know, what teams are these guys on, what teams are they playing against in their pool, what are the best chances they possibly have of making it all the way through, because these players get points based on like effectively kills minus deaths. There's a few other things that go into it, like objective multiplayer, like multipliers and the like, but effectively like KD is a crucial metric here. So so yeah, that's what a lot of our focus is going to be on, and we'll see as we go through the projected scores how this kind of varies. Now the cost is pretty subjective, as is the role. You'll find here that Dylan is listed as a flex, even though, you know, he's pretty much a sub. I don't really think there's any disputing that. So some players are, you know, in different areas, but it's not really the biggest deal. So we're going to go through it here, and yeah, leave your thoughts below, enter this yourself to show me why I am wrong, and let's go through and choose our players. So as before, I think I'm going to start with the assault rifle here. Quite difficult to do here. I don't want to spend too much on the ARs because I think the most amount of money, or at least the best results from your money in this instance, is coming from the flex players. From my experience, you can get your most bang for your buck out of the flex players, so it's kind of, and also your SMGs, I think you tend to need to spend a little bit more on in order to get good value for money there and get the real big dogs. I tend to find that when people create their fantasy teams, the people that win tend to do it in the following way. They'll choose a couple of players who are like big name players that are expected to do very well, have high cost. And then they'll be left with like, you know, not much money, maybe $4, something like that. And then they'll spend it on a player like a Slack, for example, that has a fantastic Miami and wins them the whole thing. So, you know, it's very difficult to do it that way though, because I could go through and pick a lot of big name players. Okay, let's get me an Octane, let's get me a Simp, let's get me a Dylan, and then let's get me 2 players that I hope will go off and dominate. That's a recipe for success, but of course you have to get very lucky. So I'm not really going to go down that route, because if I go down that route, the chances are that that player that I choose that is low value won't do particularly well. But if you do want to win and you want to go all out, then maybe that is the route you guys should go down. So just thought I'd bring that to your guys' attention. So let's go through the assault rifles here. As I said, I don't really want to spend $6 or $7 on my assault rifle. I feel like $5 is about right, especially off these projected scores. As I say, I really want to focus more on getting some good SMGs and players of that caliber. So, you know, a couple of names once again spring to mind. Arcetes and Zero are the 2 that I'm really keeping my eyes on. I could get Crimsix for only $3 down here, actually, which seems like a decent bet. And that may be a good route to go down, to be honest. Crim for $3 and then build the rest of your team and have a lot of money. That's not the route I'm going to go though. I think I'm going to go for Arcetes off the back that I know that E-United's pool is relatively doable. They've got Elevate, they've got the boys, and they've got one other top 16 team. I forget exactly the name of it right now, but you know, they're expected to come out and dominate this pool. You know, Arcetes and E-United are always very good in the pools. Now, FaZe Clan and Zero are not necessarily as good in the pool play, and as a result of that, that's why I'm going to go for Arcetes as my assault rifle, just because I think they've got more opportunity to do very well. Of course, right here, there's a lot of ARs down here, like the likes of, you know, Mad Cat, who don't even have scores, that, you know, these guys could go off and dominate, for example. Certainly possible. But can you really predict their team to not get destroyed? Difficult. And if your whole team's getting crushed, it's very difficult for you to do well individually. So I'm going to kind of go for a middle-of-the-road team here that I think will do very well, but you guys can take a different approach. Now, next up, I'm going to go to the SMGs here, and the player I'm really looking at is Simp. I'm going on a similar frame of mind here. I feel like E-United are going to do great this tournament. Part of the way you have to organize doing this fantasy team is which teams do you think are going to do well, because if teams start to dominate and go off, then that helps everyone else in that team environment do very well. So if I go for 2 United players here, Arcetes and Simp, and United do very well, then I'm pretty damn happy, because they're going to help each other get better scores in the games through the team play and the like, and they're not taking each other's kills because they're not in the same role. So that's something to consider as well, possibly. But yeah, so he's $8, not quite the $9 of Envoy or Dylan, and $9 to me is maybe just too much to justify. It's, you know, I guess Envoy and Dylan have justified their $9 ratings at the previous couple of tournaments, but for me, it's difficult to say that they're going to have that kind of level again. Certainly possible, but I feel like Simp for $8 is maybe a slightly better target. I feel like he should dominate. He's now won his first tournament. It's likely that he could keep getting even better and better, and if he United as a team does well, then Simp as well should be a great target. So for $8, I think that Simp's relatively good going. I don't think royalty is particularly worth it, but we'll come back to the SMGs in a second here. Let's go on to the flexes. So I've got $5.67 left, which means if I spend $5 here, then I can get 2 players for $6 to round out my team, which is kind of what I'm looking to do. And there's one player here, I think, which is basically a no-brainer, I would say, and that is Matty Formal Piper, down here once again at $5. Doesn't have the highest predicted value, but we know throughout history what Formal does at Champs. It's mind-boggling. Every single year he turns up at Champs, I would not be surprised one bit if he does it again. I think for $5, Formal seems to me like an absolute no-brainer. I'm going to lock him in with very little questions. So we've still got to round out this team here. Few more players to consider, and it's difficult to say where exactly to go next, because I've got $12 left, average price remaining of $6. So look, I've got to choose one flex player and one sub. I don't think I'm going to mess around with the rest of my team. As I said, I could maybe choose Crimsix up here. Definitely a tempting choice, because, you know, it's the Crimbot, it's Champs. He hasn't been so good the last couple of events, but you never know. He probably could put up a 1 KD or something, or like a 1.05, 1.1, and then you're getting decent returns out of Crimsix, given the $3 variation. And maybe that is a route to go down if you really want to push the boundaries out and try and win. I'm going to go for a more conservative team and just try and get an absolute powerhouse squad. But you guys feel free to do what you want. Add the link in the description box below. So yes, let's figure out how to do the rest of this team. Obviously, I need another flex and I need another sub. There are so many tempting players right here. Scraps and Cellium are 2 players that immediately leap out for $6. I feel like Scraps especially might be an excellent pick. Scraps and Cellium both are very tempting. I feel like Scraps is probably, out of these $6 players, the player that I would expect to go off the most. Very tempted to lock in Scraps. However, I am conscious that if I choose Scraps for $6, let's have a look at our $6 subs that I could possibly get. We've got Havoc, Decimate, Slacked, Zap, Beezy, Kismet. So those are the $6 that I would have to go for if I did choose Scraps as $6. Now, maybe it's possible. Havoc is obviously a very tempting pick. I feel like Decimate is a risky one, though, because he's on Envy, and if Envy don't do particularly well, then it might be looking slow. Slacked again on Luminosity. I feel like it's kind of risky, a bit of an up and down player. Definitely, you know, the team isn't built around Slacked, so let's put it that way. Zaptius pretty inconsistent, and Abizi, I feel like him and Simp may take each other's kills. I don't want to have 3 people, you know, on a United on my team. And Enigma 6, I'm not even sure 100% they're going to get into the bracket, and they're a pretty inconsistent team as it is anyway. So I think right now, if I did choose a $6 player, I might have to go for a Havoc. That may be what I end up doing, but if we look a bit further down, we've got some other tempting options here. Apathy is really standing out to me as a decent one at $5, which would mean I had $7 to choose a flex, but I'm not even sure where that would get me here. $7 would get me a Dashy, a Priestahh, a Frosty. Okay, that's certainly a route I might consider going down right here in a second. Dashy is, of course, very, very tempting. I feel like that should be done. However, also the option is that I'm going to choose a guy like a Temp at $5. Now, he's been fantastic, honestly, throughout the year. Didn't have the best Miami. Splice could turn up at a run here and go flying at Champ. So Temp for $5 again, along with Formal, is a very tempting guy in the flex category. Now, if I chose him, I would then have $7 left. Let's just put him in for the sake of it. Let's see what I would have left. So I'd have the choice between who can attach effectively, which, you know, maybe attach is a route to go down. So this is where I'm really struggling here between choosing between these last two. So I could lock in a team like this, for example. I'm not sure who I would go with over who can attach, to be honest, if I had to choose between the two. Probably be more tempted to go for attach, more likely to have a, you know, a Maddox in his hand, and attach has been fantastic the last few events. This team is really tempting me right now. Okay, so let's take temp and attach out again, and let's consider our other options I was looking at. I was considering apathy and then going in for Dashy. This was my other option I was thinking about, because we know what apathy tends to do at champs. He tends to be very good. I feel like Evil Geniuses here can put together a solid run. However, though, I am conscious in this situation that Dashy and apathy will be playing against each other in the very first rounds, in the groups at least. So I feel like, okay, Dashy, apathy, this is a very tempting team. Like, look, this squad looks pretty disgusting on paper, but it must be said that I am guaranteeing that Dashy and apathy are going to face off against each other in the groups, meaning that they will take kills and deaths away from each other. Now, that may not be the biggest deal, but that is something that I'm considering, which is why I'm kind of tempted to go the other way, which I think is what I'm going to do. Just off that logic, it may be a little bit of skewed logic, but, you know, I'm already using the logic that I'm choosing Formal because he's great at champs. Maybe choosing apathy for the same reason is one step too far. So maybe we'll just back out of this and we'll go down the other route. Now, another thing that's just tempted me there is, instead of going Dashy apathy, is to go Dashy attach and switch out Arcetes for Crimsix, which is another tempting option. But I think I'm going to go down the route I did go down. I'm going to stick to my guns, and I'm going to lock in here temp, and I'm going to hope that Splice do very well this tournament, because I feel like it's within their grasp. I think Temp's a fantastic player, and definitely one of the slaying powerhouses on their team. In theory, he should be very good for $5. So he's definitely a guy that I'm going to go for here. He's been considered one of the, you know, a pretty damn top player throughout the entire year. And then as a result of that, I'm going to lock in attach, I think. Hook is a tempting option, but I don't really want to have Hook and Temp on the same team, because I'm not confident that Splice are going to do as well as Simp and Arcetes. So I think attach is going to be my pick. So this is going to be the squad. Arcetes, Formal, Temp, Simp, and attach. So, I mean, it's not necessarily the best squad that you would put together, because there aren't really two SMGs on this team. It's difficult to say, because attach and Temp both kind of like using the Maddox. Temp's gone to an SMG a little bit more as of late, but on the whole, it's not maybe a team that you would put together if you're actually making a squad, but that's not exactly what we're here for. We're here to put together the best possible fantasy team, and I think this gets pretty damn close. I'm choosing some of these based on how good they are at champs, based on how good I think E United will do at this event, and you know, also players that I think are great value for money like Formal and Temp. So this is the team I'm going for. Be interested to hear your thoughts down below. Check this out for yourself at the link down below. Going to click enter here, which you probably can't see, and that will have now locked in. So out of 134, I'm currently ranked 50, probably off alphabetical order or whatever, and you probably can't see my team over here at the left. But yes, Arcetes, Temp, Formal, attach, and Simp. That is the squad I'm going for. And yeah, be interested to hear your thoughts as always. Like if you guys enjoyed, subscribe if you're new as always. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I will see you next time.